Good morning, guys. Good morning, guys. DSC MEC has always been the side of students and fellow developers to connect, learn, and grow. And here we are again with yet another opportunity for you guys. Over to you, Gokul.
Hey guys, good morning. It's great to see a lot of people here. And first of all, how are you? How is everyone? And are you guys all excited for this Android study jams? I'm sure you must be really excited for this. Show us your excitement by putting your favorite emoji in the chats. Let's see how many of you are excited for learning something new, creating something new. Keep those emojis coming. So, uh, we have an exciting session lined up for you today, and we have an amazing speaker that is Maria Rachel Joseph. She's from CS5B at MEC, and she's the current Android and Flutter lead at DSC MEC, and is also the facilitator for this Android Study Jams program. So, are you guys all excited for this? Let us know in the comments. And
Show
hi,
us
Maria.
some excitement, guys. Yeah, Maria, you can. And
Hello, is everyone still
Yeah.
sleepy? Yeah, let's keep the comments coming. So, as Gokul introduced, I am Maria and I am the Flutter and Android lead for DSC MEC. Okay, so let's
Come
get
on,
started.
guys. Let's keep those comments coming up.
Can you share the PPT? Okay, so let's start. So, what do you guys think Android Study Jams is? So, just drop your suggestions in the chat box. Let me see if you have any idea. Even if it's wrong, no issues. Just drop in your suggestions. Nobody? I see none of you have started with the course. Okay, so let's get started soon. Okay, so next slide. Okay, so what are Android study jams? So basically, it is a community organized study groups where students experience hands-on learning with Android app development. So you all might know what Android app development is. It is mobile applications that we use every day. So what we do is we develop it. So community organized study groups basically mean it promotes peer-to-peer learning where students promote and support each other. So suppose if one of you have a doubt and your friends know the answer to it, they will help you out. And if they have a doubt, you help them out. So it's how the thing goes. So what we do is mainly we promote community organized study groups. So Android Study Jams is a Google sponsored course which is basically meant for learning to build Android apps with no experience. So all you need is interest and enthusiasm to get started. Okay, next slide. Okay, so we told about Android app development. So why do you think developing an app is very important? Okay, let's start off with an example. So suppose if WhatsApp was only a website instead of an app, how many of you would continue using it? Like if you had to send a message or you had to see the message, you had to keep opening the website each time. How many of you would continue using it if this was the case? Can you drop in a yes if you would continue or a no you wouldn't? Okay, I see no's coming in. Nobody who would still use WhatsApp? Oh, that would have been a very big blow to WhatsApp. How about Instagram? Okay, no, not even single person saying yes. I expected at least a few. Okay, cool. So this is exactly why we need effective and efficient ways to reach users. That is why we develop a mobile application. So, like another important point is to engage with the users everywhere. So I would say that one of the companies that majorly benefited from this is Zomato and Swiggy. So how many of you here have fallen prey to Zomato notifications saying Wednesday offers, Friday sizzlers, and all that? I know I have. If you have, just drop in a yes. Yes. Okay. So no one else. I see you are all pretty self-composed. Okay, I see yes is coming in. Yes, okay. Even I have personally fallen prey for it. They have they have large offers that cannot, they like tempt us too much that we cannot resist it. So that is what they do. They keep involving and engaging their customers with their app so that they are constantly forced and interested in using their app. So that is how they increase their use and popularity. So this is how they increase visibility. That is, they get a large number of customers based on the unique features that they provide. Okay, so next. Okay, so Android Study Jams is basically focused on developing apps using Kotlin. So, what is Kotlin? So, Kotlin is basically, it is very closely related to Java. So, how many of you know what Java is? Like, can I know that? Because, or else I would like to explain what Java is. Actually, there is a few seconds delay between StreamYard and YouTube. So, while there is a lag, so I get your responses a little slow. That's why there is a small pause. Okay, yes. Okay, so basically Java, it is also a software language that is used to develop. Let's see where. Okay, that people know. Okay, so you all know that writing Java code, it takes a long time and it is a large amount of code. So that is solved by Kotlin. So Kotlin has 30% less amount of code and it takes very little time compared to Java in maintenance. So this on the right, I have shown survey conducted by Stack Overflow in 2020 to know which are the most loved programming languages by developers. So as you can see, Kotlin is ranked fourth and Java is like way below. So that is why currently most of at least 60% of professionals that use Android use Kotlin to develop Android apps. Okay. So next thing. Okay, so when we start using an app, you see a screen that comes up when you open the app. When you click on some button or you swipe something, you maybe go to a next screen. So what are all these screens? So what are we doing there? So that is what is called a user interface. So most of you might have heard the term UI, but now might not be familiar with the full form. So that UI stands for user interface. So that is the part where you interact with the app. So if you click a button, an action is performed. So this is what user interface is basically. So let's go to the next. Okay, so this is what your Kotlin learning journey will look like. So as I had mentioned before, it is a Google sponsored course and you have to complete 6 units to attain a certificate. And do keep in mind, you have to complete the course within November 29th to January 10th. If after that you complete, we won't be able to issue you certificates. So everyone, please do keep in mind, you have to complete the course within January 10th. So in each unit there are 16. In each unit there are a few pathways, and totally there are 16 pathways. So after each pathway, you have to attend a quiz which you have to pass to earn the badge they provide. I will just show you how it is done using the course link. So Gokul will now share the course link and I will share my screen. Okay. So you guys can see my screen, right? Yes. So if you would like to, not before January 10th, you have until 10th to complete it. That is the timeline they have given. So like we will try and see if anything is possible, but you have to make sure that you have completed within it. So these are the units provided by Kotlin. So I will just show you one of them. So when you click on explore, you are taken to the pathways within that unit. So in this particular pathway, there are a particular unit, there are 4 pathways. So it's just taking a minute. Okay, so in each pathway, there are a certain set of activities. The number of activities depend and differ based on the pathway. So certain activities have this optional uh, videos or content which are not compulsory. All the rest you have to complete to earn your badge. So in this particular pathway, you have to complete the third and fourth activity and also take the quiz. So when you click on take the quiz, you are navigated to the quiz screen. So here you can see you have to answer at least 5 questions correctly to pass the quiz. So that differs and depends on the pathways they are given. So you have to see how much is needed, and based on that you have to answer. So in this particular quiz, there are 6 questions given. So once you are sure you have done all your answers, you can click on submit answers and you can immediately see how much you have scored. If you have met the requirement of 5, you will earn the badge and you can move on to the next. So I'll just show you the Google developer profile. Have you all created a Google developer profile? Can you just drop in a yes if you have? Was what I told clear or should I explain it again? So if you want me to explain again, just drop in a yes. Yes, okay. So I'll just explain it again. Okay, so this, have you all taken the screen or should I just continue explaining? Are you simultaneously checking yours? Okay, so this is the unit. So there are 6 units: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So to earn the certificate, you have to complete all these units and to earn all the badges given there. Yeah. Okay, so I hope that is clear. So let's move on to the next. So are what units? So is what units are? Is it clear? If it is, drop a yes. So I can move on to pathways. Yes. Okay. So for each unit, you have an explore button which takes you to the pathways inside. So I'll just try show you the first unit. So when you click on explore, you come to this particular screen. So in this unit, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 pathways. So you have to complete all 4 pathways, and after you complete each pathway, you earn a badge. So for pathway 1, you earn this badge. For 2, you earn this badge. 3 this, and 4 this. So within the pathways, there are different number of activities also given. So you have to complete those activities also. So can I go to the next slide? So the inside, can I go inside the, what do you say, the pathway? Yes, okay. So when each of them also have an explore. So when you go inside, you come to this screen. So this and this. Okay. So these are the activities given within the first pathway. There are 4 activities and 1 quiz. So some of these have an optional written over there. So that those basically mean it is not necessary that you complete them. So this is actually just a video of what the basics are. So these videos are optional and you don't need to complete them to earn your badge. But there is something called the code labs. They are really important, and you have to, when you click on code lab, you are directed to your screen, and this is where you have to do. So you can read, it is very simple, you can understand easily what is written. If you have any doubts, you can ask in a Discord server, or you can ask your friends, or directly contact me. There is no problem with it. Any doubts, any point of time, you can contact anyone else. So just you have to read this, understand what is needed, and click next. So basically, this is how it works. I will show you what Kotlin Playground is in the upcoming part and explain to you how to use it, and like I'll explain the basics of the software also. So is this much clear? Can I get a yes? Is it clear? Yes. Okay. Okay. So once you have completed, sorry, let's close this. So once you've completed the code labs, there is something called a quiz, and this is compulsory that you attend, and you have to pass the quiz in order to earn the badge. So each has a badge corresponding to it based on how much you have completed. Your progress moves forward. So this is the badge you earned at the end of this pathway. So I'll just show what the quiz is to you. Okay, so introduction to Kotlin. So this pathway is the first one. So in this particular one, you have to at least answer 5 questions correctly. That is the requirement for this particular quiz. So what you have to do is pick which answer you think is suitable. Here, and then like I'm not sorting the answers because then there's no point in you taking this particular pathway. So once you find your answers, you can click on submit answers. I'll just click right now. See how based on how many you have scored correctly, you get your score. If you get 5, you have passed the quiz and you will earn this particular batch. So that is how you have completed the first pathway. In the similar way, you have to complete all 16 pathways of the 6 units. So totally you need 16 plus batches in your developer profile. Is it clear? Is this clear? Can I move forward? Okay, so one thing you all have to make sure is you have to ensure that your developer profile is public. Only then can we monitor what you have done and your progress, and then only can we issue the certificate. Because if it is private, we cannot know what you have done, and we cannot issue the certificate. So please make sure that your account is public. And when you click on the particular Android Study Jams link that was shared before, you automatically gain you like when you start doing at least one of this, you will gain a particular badge here. So this badge is we have got it because we created the developer profile. And when we start solving, we get a badge called Android Study Jams Participant. Okay, so is that clear? So I'll just show you, I had mentioned Kotlin Playground before it. So I'll just show you how it works and I'll explain basic syntaxes of Kotlin language. Shall we move on? Shall I see some enthusiasm? Drop some emojis in. Okay, so now I'll share the Kotlin Playground platform with you. The link will be provided in the comment box. And so you can do it together with me, or you can just see what is being done. So you will get an idea of how to move forward. Okay? Yeah, so this is the link. So if you are interested in doing it together, just open it and we'll start. So I'll start off. So let's start with what Kotlin Playground. So as you can see, there is print, there is hello world written over here. So as some, how many, okay, wait, before that, how many of you know at least one programming language? Can you drop in the ones you know? And if you don't know, just drop in a no, so I can take the session accordingly. There are people who have no experience, I can explain a little in depth, or I can just cover the portions a little quicker. So if you don't know, just drop in a no. Fine. Java, C. Okay, I see people do have an idea. So if anyone has no clue, please let me know. Then I can explain what they are. No, okay, there are people who don't know. So I'll take it from the basics. Okay, great. Okay, so let's start. So whenever you start coding a particular language, the first basic convention every programmer uses is to print a hello world statement. So that is exactly what is given here in the Kotlin Playground when you open it. So this println is used to print a statement. So print is basically used to get an output. So when you give a print, it provides a print, like you get an output on the screen. So main function, it is actually, I'll explain that when we get into functions. It is really important. So whatever you code, you have to include that within the main function. Or if you, like, I'll just show that. So suppose I did not give a main function here, only the print statement. See, there is a whole lot of errors that are generated. So this is why, because main function is very important. Without a main function, you cannot run any program. So I'll explain it more when we talk about functions, but let's get started with the print statement first. Okay, so now we found out that println statement is used to print a particular statement. So what does this ln stand for? It is used to print, like after we print, we are taken to a new line. So let me give one more statement. Okay. So I have given the statement. So let's just run and see what happens. Okay, so did you see that Hello World and Android Developer were run on printed on two different lines? So this basically happens because we have given this ln here. So if we remove the ln, let's see what happens. They are printed on the exact same line. So print ln, the ln basically stands to take you to the new line. Okay, am I clear? Can I move to the next? Response? Or is it just lag? Yeah, okay, yes. Okay, so the next what I would like to talk about is variable. So a variable, how many would anyone like to explain? Those who know, would you like to give your suggestions in the comment box? What a variable is? No one? Okay. So a variable is basically used to, I'll just explain it using an example. So we had told about a print statement. Right? So let's just remove this and print something else. Let's print the sum of two numbers. So I want to add 8 plus 6. So this will actually generate the sum that is 14. See, we got 14. And then 8 plus 7 and 8 plus 8. Okay. So we received three outputs. But then I soon realized that I did not want 8 and it was supposed to be 5. So that means I have to replace 8 with 5. So you might have noticed that I had to change the value in three places just to get the right value. Variables are something that can access the value. Yeah, exactly. Correct. Uh, yeah, okay, so all three of you are actually, four of you are right. Okay, so here I had to change the value in three places to get the correct answer. So instead of that, we can just do this in the by storing it in a variable. So I'll show that. The keyword for storing a variable is var. So var number is equal to 5. And I can store that here. Sorry. We replace the number with the variable name rather than writing the number manually. We just put the variable name. So when we run that, we get the outputs 11, 12, 13. Okay. So suppose this was wrong and I had to replace with 8. I, I got the corresponding outputs. I had to only change this in one particular position. Now, I would like to store a particular string value. So, would any of you like me to write your name here? So if you do, drop your names. No one? I guess I'll have to end up writing my name. Okay, so I'll write the last person, Ron's. I'll write your name. Okay. So, Ron's. So to print, like we learned what a print statement is and what a variable is. So how about we combine both of them and print the value present in the variable. So print ln, that is a print statement, and I want to print this value right now. So simply if I give name, that is the variable name, my name is name. This is only what comes. So basically this name has not been considered as a variable and it's been taken just as a string value. So what we need to do is we need to put a dollar sign in front of it. See, now the variable is being considered and the value inside it is stored. So my name is Rose. So if you want to give, suppose you want to do some kind of operation inside, suppose you want to add 8 to the particular variable, so number plus 8. So when you want to do something within, you have to put the curly brackets after the dollar sign. Am I clear with what variables and print statements are? Sony, I'll use your name next time. If I'm clear, just drop a yes so I can. Yeah. Okay. So now let's move on to condition statements. So basically, a condition statement, it is used to check a particular condition. So if I am given two numbers, 5 and 10, so I want to check which is greater. So I'll just show it to you. So that is done using if else statements. So I'll clear this. Let's store a is equal to 10 and b is equal to 20. Okay. So now I want to check if a is greater than b. So obviously a is lesser than b. So when we give it if a greater than. So this is the condition. So when if what you want to check is given within the brackets here, and then we open a curly brackets to put what should be done if this particular statement is true. That if a is greater than b, we perform this particular function. Else, we perform what is here. Okay, so as here 10 is less than 20, we do not perform this particular statement here. We will be performing else. I'll show that. We can print. See, because the value is greater, we have printed the content in the else statement and not if. So what happens if we replace the values? 20 is greater. So that means this particular statement has been implemented because a value is 20 and that particular value is being shown here. So is it else clear to everyone? So basically, whatever statements you would like, you can give multiple statements. If that particular condition is true, all the statements given within this curly bracket will be executed. Do ensure to give these curly brackets to print all the statements that are given within. Yes, okay. So for the next one, there is something called a when statement here. So when is basically similar to switch. And most of you know might know what a switch is. It is used to check for, suppose A, we will check A value with multiple values. So we check base 10, base 20, base 40. Understand? I'll just show that. Let's do that with the name since Sony had dropped his name here. So, oh, okay, so this is how the syntax is. So if you want to check name for Sony, sorry, you give Sony here, and if that is true, this particular statement is true. You can give any number of options, so bronze. And if neither of these are true, suppose the name it's stored within is Maria. So then we need some default condition to be shown if it is wrong, right? So that is, I'll show you. So that is done using the else statement. So if you give else, okay. So if my name is neither Sony nor Ron's, the else statement is printed. Okay. So let's just try that out. See, hi Sony. As the name given here was Sony, this particular content is printed. So suppose my name, even though my name is same, but I give S in small letter. See, so this means that it is case sensitive. So if you give something as capital, you have to ensure that the same content is given within here, or else it will generate not an error, like you will go into the default condition. That is, you haven't satisfied the particular condition. So if my name was Ron's, Chirons is print. So switch. So this is when. So is when correct? So, sorry. So is when clear for everyone? Is when clear? Okay, let's move on. So the next thing I would like to mention is what looping statements are. So looping statements are basically used to repeat a set of instructions until a certain condition is met. So if I want to print hello world 10 times, I instead of typing print, I can just use one print statement and give a looping statement. So there are three types: for, while, and do while. And I'll show all of these three how it is done. So these are the three looping statements. So this is how you give a comment, by the way. So if you want to give a single line comment, you put two slashes, forward slashes. If I wanted to put it in different lines, rather than, I could just do this, put a star. So this means whatever I type next is not part of the comment. So this entire thing enclosed within this forward slash and the star, and this one is a comment. So that is clear, right? So let's start with the loop. Okay, so let's start with the for loop. So for you can give any name. So it can be I, it can be index, it can be item. It doesn't matter. Based on what you give here, you will be doing within the loop. So for item in 6. So println item means we print this variable. So as it is not enclosed in the codes, we don't need to give this particular dollar sign. If we have enclosed in the codes, only the dollar sign is necessary, or else we can simply give item. That is the variable name. So here the variable name doesn't need to be initialized separately as it is part of the for loop. Okay, you don't need a separate initialization. So this double dots, it basically means range of. So that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All these values are included within. Rather than typing one to all of them, you can just give double dots. Okay? So I'll just run this. See, all the numbers are printed. This means that whatever the first number and the last number are also inclusive when you use the double dots. So double dots basically means range. Okay, so that is range. So suppose you wanted to show 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but you don't want 6. So you can do that by 1 until 6. So when you do 1 until 6, it means it goes until 6 minus 1, that is 5. 6 will not be considered. So see, this is the output. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Suppose you wanted to only print even numbers, you don't want odd numbers. So how will you do that? So that can be done by adding something called a step. So step 2. 1, 3, 5. Sorry, I told even numbers. So let's start from 0. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. So these are the even numbers. So taking step will give us the value. So 0 is taken, then 1, 2. The next second number is taken, then 3, 4. Second number. Understood? And then suppose if it was 5, 0 and 5. 10 is not considered here because we have used the keyword until. If it was a double dot, that is the range, 10 would have also been considered. See, 10 is also printed here. Now, suppose you wanted to go from 10 to 0, that is, you wanted to go backwards. So, that can be done by 10 down to 0. See, 10, 9, 8, 7. it goes up until 0. So all these values are printed. So now, like other one, if you wanted, if you want to give a step, that can be also added here. So step 3, see, these numbers are already printed. So the other numbers will not be printed. Only the ones that satisfy the step 3 condition are printed. So this is all about for loop. So shall I move on to the while loop? Is for loop clear? Does anyone have any doubts? Feel free to ask. Yes. Okay. So let's move. So the next one is while loop. So in the while loop, what you do is you type the condition. I'm just typing this so you understand what is given. Condition, then you open curly brackets, then you type what you want. And this is not coding, I'm just telling you what the content is supposed to be in normal language. And then you put an increment or decrement. Because here the values are automatically increased or decreased based on the requirement, but here we have to specifically mention it, or else it doesn't work. And after this, like after this particular loop, it goes back to condition, checks if it is true. If it is true, it continues the process. So this is done until this condition is false. So I'll just show it to you based on the above code. So if I less than 10, sorry, so content is print and increment and decrement I plus plus. So I plus plus means it is used to increment it by 1. You can also do I minus minus I plus equal to 2. So this basically means you're incrementing by 2. What we did using step 2 is this step. So we increased I is equal to, so this basically means I is equal to I plus 2. So that is just the short form of how you can write this. So this is what basically step 2 and I plus equal to 1. So let's just do plus plus here. Oh, sorry, I did not. In the while loop, unlike for loop, it is not automatically initialized, and you have to provide a initial starting value. So that is why I have given where I is equal to 0. Then only can you use I in the while loop. So here, or then we start off with 0. As 0 is less than 10, we enter the loop, we print it, and then we increment it. That means it goes to 1. When we come back, we check 1 is less than 10, so it is printed, then we increment it to 2. This process keeps continuing. So when we reach 9, so suppose we increment it to 9 and we reached here. So 9 is less than 10, we print 9, and then we increment it to 10. So when you increment to 10, 10 is not less than 10, and the while loop statement is, it is not true anymore, and you go to the next statement. So suppose the next statement is, so after 9, you go to done. We do not print anything anymore. We go to the next statement after the while loop. So that is done. So is while loop clear for everyone? Okay, great. So the last thing I would like to cover in the looping statements is do while. So let's just try it. So do while is actually really similar to while loop. So in the while loop, we first check the condition and then we print, right? In the do while, it is actually the opposite. So first you perform the function and then you check. So that is basically you do, then whatever here you can print the I statement, and then you can give I plus plus. So the content inside is similar. That is, you have to give your content and you have to also specify the increment or decrement operation that you want to do. You can also use divide, multiplication, whatever you feel free. I So as we had updated the I value to 10, so let's reassign it to 0. So do this and then we have to give the condition. So condition here is given at the end, I less than 10. So as you can see the difference here, when we start off, we check the condition, but here we only check it while we come out of the loop. So that is a difference. So this is an sorry, entry control, and this is an exit. So even if my value was 20, I equal to 20. Oh, sorry, I see 20, even though 20 is not less than 10, it is printed. That is because we executed once before checking the condition. After that only do we check the condition. So that is why 20 has been printed even though it is not less than 10. So suppose it was 0. Okay, sorry. I think this condition is not good. Yeah. So as we started from 0, we go from 0, 1, 2, 3. So we are 0 here, we enter the loop even if 0 is less than or greater than 10. So we execute 0 and then we increment it. So now 0 becomes 1. And then we check the condition. Is 1 less than 10? Yes. So we go back into the do loop and we execute 1. And then we increment it to 2 and then we check the condition. So this keeps continuing. So suppose then we reach 9. So when we do 9 plus plus, that becomes 10, but 10 is not less than 10, so we exit this and we go to the next step. After 9 you print done, because I less than 10 is 10 less than 10 is not true, so we go to the next statement and we're done with the while do while loop. So is do while loop clear? That was actually an error with the network. Online compilers have issues at certain times, so I think it is acting up right now. So it is actually supposed to work. So I'll just show it to you. The other, I think it is some kind of online compiler code error. Oh, wait, sorry. I started off with 0, so that it doesn't make a difference. Yeah, done. Okay. So that problem there was we had to initialize with int. So it is not necessary in every condition, but for certain places you need that. So suppose you want to initialize a variable, but you don't want to give a value to it. I had actually left it for this part, but I forgot to mention. Sorry. Okay, so suppose you want to, suppose here you don't know what value you want to assign, so you just want to initialize the variable. We cannot leave it like that. We need to assign a data type. So data type can be integer, float, or what different values. So that was a comment. Yeah. So this means that this particular variable is supposed to be int. So now when we initialize here, we give I here, we get the values, and we are done. Suppose now consider this example. There is also something called val. So val num is equal to 4. And now along the way here, I wanted to change val num is equal to 9 because I found that it was wrong. Sorry, val is not required again. It's only for initialization. So you give number is equal to 9. So just run this and see what happens. See, val cannot be reassigned. So this basically means that val, it stands for a constant. So once you have assigned the value, so here it is 4, you cannot replace it. So you cannot change it to 9, you cannot change it to 0, you cannot do anything to it. It is fixed. That is basically, it is a constant. Colon, yeah, so colon is basically used to define the data type. So whenever you want to give the data type. So data type is basically it can be integer, float, string. So it depends on the value that you enter. So if you enter your name, it is text characters, right? So it is a string. So if you enter a number, it is an integer, right? Plus numbers, minus numbers, they are all integer values. And if you put a decimal point, they become floating numbers. So basically, the colon stands to give the corresponding data type. Am I clear? Is this clear for everyone? While do while the for loop? Yes. Okay. So the last thing I would like to cover is functions. I had just mentioned it briefly. Fun main. So I'll just explain a little more in deep what it is. So I'll just clear all this out. So suppose I wanted to print. I want to add a set of or let's start with the print statement. I want to print a particular large, huge string. Suppose my name is so and so, I study in so and so. Let's just print that statement. Okay? So this is comparatively a larger string. So if you want this is repeatedly printing this is a huge pain, right? So instead of that, the common function that you want to do here is you want to print. So this can be included in a separate function. So that function can be called to perform this particular set of functions. So that I'll just show. So the keyword to create a function is fun, F-U-N. Fun, let's say, print. So because print is a keyword, we cannot use it. So I have avoided the I here. Okay, so I'll just copy this. So now we have created the call for a body of the function. Now we need to call this function. As I had mentioned, the main function needs to have the content. So you need to call this function within main. So sorry. See? So you have called this function. That means this is taken to this particular function and whatever is inside it is executed. So that is basically how a function works. So suppose you want to add multiple numbers. So suppose you want to add 1, 2, you want to add 3 and 4, you want to add 5 and 6. You have rather than 1 plus 2, 2 plus 3, 3 plus 4, you can just call a function that does the addition operation. So I'll show that also. So let's take this off. Okay, so here we'll introduce a new concept called parameters. So I had told about function call, right? So let's write that first so it becomes clearer for you. So suppose I want to add 1 and 2. I need to give the values to the function that need to be added, right? Or else it won't add the numbers properly. So I give 1 and 2 because I want to add that. And suppose want to add 4 and 5. So these numbers have to be conveyed to the function, right? Or else this won't be done. So that is why we need to give something called parameters, and that is given within the brackets. So let's say A int B. So I had mentioned before, this is the data type. So when we give a parameter, that is the value inside the bracket, we need to give the variable name and the corresponding data type. So here we have two values, right? So 1 and 2. So when we take 1, it is stored here in A, and 2 is stored in B. We cannot interchange, as in like 1 will not be stored in B and 2 will not be stored in B. It will only be stored in the corresponding variables provided. So now A and B can be used anywhere within the function. So see, rather than having to write the println A plus B statement multiple times, I could just write one function and perform addition for both operations. So is that clear? So the last thing I would like to add is, suppose if you want this particular thing stored in a variable, suppose you want sum to store that value. So we have to first declare sum. Sum is equal to add, and let's say 2. So because this means that we have to return a value. So return means whatever we found here, this A plus B can be returned into the main function and stored in this particular value. So whenever you give a return statement, do keep in mind it should either be stored into a variable or it should be printed. Otherwise, it will provide an error. Am I clear about that? So this means so now return A plus B. So this particular thing is type integer, right? So that means we need to mention it is in the integer value is returned somewhere within the function. So that is done here. Outside the bracket, you give the type. I'll just delete this for you to understand right now. So after giving the function name and the curly brackets, you put a colon. Like I had mentioned before, colon is used to indicate that the next thing we give is the data type. So after the colon, we give the particular data type here, which is A plus B, that is int. So we give int. So I'll just replace the value here. So this is how it goes. I'll just print the tools. Rather than saving it here, I'll just print that. See, so what? So initially 1 and 2, we took it in the function 1 here, 2 here. Then we added it, and that value was put back into sum. Okay, and then that sum was printed. So I had also mentioned we can either use a return statement or sorry, a return statement or a variable. So here I have used a print statement. So the print statement, so here you have to include this pattern that is put inside the print statement so that we don't have to write extra code. So this results in 2 lines. So this can automatically be done by in one single code. So that is how we do it. So so we put it here and that is included. So that is how the return statement works. I'll just show you what happens if see, so, yeah, this particular value, it is not stored anywhere. We have to either use the variable or the print statement to get access to that. Right now this value is lost. We have no access to it. It cannot be accessed. So that is why we have to mention the variable name. Okay, yeah. So that's all I had to cover. So thank you so much for being patient and listening to the entire session. So if you have any doubts, just drop. clear for everyone?
So, thank you, Rachel. That was an amazing session. I hope our viewers had a great experience learning new things. So, if you guys have any doubt, please do put them in the chat. Oh, by the way, there is one. So, what's the difference between Flutter and Kotlin? So, I guess you have experience with Flutter, so you might be able to give us some insight on that.
So basically, Flutter, it is also a good programming language, but it is easier to code with Kotlin. So that is why it is more commonly used nowadays, and more number of professionals prefer using this because the time taken to later on the way manage and maintain this is comparatively less. And you all use Google, right? So basically, most of the apps like Google own, like Google Docs, Google Drive, all of these are mostly code, coded using Kotlin. So Kotlin is more preferred in the current day than Flutter.
Great. So,
So anyone else?
anyone else? If you guys have any question, do put them in the chats. We will be taking up. Okay, so another question that has come is what if we don't finish this course by January 10th? So
So the problem is we have got a deadline of January 10th, and if you complete after that, we won't be able to issue you certificates. If you want the certificate, you have to complete it within January. That is the criteria provided to us.
I think you'll have enough time to do this. It's basically a community based learning. So even if you have doubts at any point of time, all of us will be there to help you. And yeah, do stay connected in our Discord server. We'll be putting that link just now.
So that's why these are called study jams. It's a peer-based learning uh, curated course. So it's like you learn and you help your fellow peers to learn also along with. Take it at your own pace. Don't rush it or. Do we have any other questions? So I think we don't have any, and yeah, that brings us to the end of the session. So stay tuned, for guys, and to drop us your questions, or if you have any doubts, you can ask in the Discord server and stay connected.
Thank you for
Thank
staying
you for
patiently.
yeah,
Thank you so much.
thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, so stay connected and we'll meet you in the next